Be honest. Have you ever bought something online, watched the confirmation screen load, and immediately felt 37% happier for absolutely no logical reason? You've told yourself, this is the last unnecessary purchase, and then, somehow, there's another package at your door every week. Well, at least you know you're not alone. In the United States alone, it's estimated that there are over 17 million online purchases a day. That's almost 1 million an hour, 12,000 per minute, and 202 per second. Not to mention these are only the online purchases. The best part, most of the stuff we're buying are things we want, not things we need. Collectibles, fashion, travel, upgrades, experiences, impulse Amazon purchases at 11:47 p.m. While some people hesitate before spending $4, others treat the checkout button like a dopamine dispenser. So what's actually happening psychologically in people who love to spend money? And no, it's not just they're bad with their moolah. Let's break it down. Starting from the most fundamental level, something that undermines almost all of our human desire and behavior. Spending is a dopamine event. When you anticipate buying something, not even owning it yet, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine isn't just the pleasure chemical, it's the anticipation chemical. It spikes when you imagine the reward. That's why adding something to your cart can feel almost as good as the item arriving. In fact, studies show that the act of purchasing activates the brain's reward circuitry in similar ways to other pleasurable experiences. In all studies of this subject, the core consensus is spending money equals reward, and reward equals dopamine release. On top of this, for some people, this system is more sensitive. They don't just buy the shoes, they buy the future version of themselves wearing the shoes. It's not just retail therapy, it's identity expansion with next-day shipping. 2. Spending feels like control. Money represents optionality, choice, agency, movement. When someone loves to spend, it can be less about the object and more about the feeling of power. I don't mean the power to conquer your enemies. More like, in a world where most of life feels structured, work schedules, responsibilities, obligations, spending can feel like reclaiming control. You didn't choose your inbox, you didn't choose traffic, but you did choose that jacket. Small? Yes. Psychologically meaningful? Also yes. For some personalities, especially those high in openness and novelty seeking, spending is stimulation, it's exploration, it's saying yes to the new. And the brain loves novelty, which explains why buying something new feels exciting, and 6 weeks later it's just part of the decor. And you're browsing again. 3. Spending as emotional regulation. Here's where it gets deeper. For some people, spending is mood regulation. Bad day? Buy something. Bored? Scroll and shop. Stressed? I deserve this. There's actually research called The Benefits of Retail Therapy showing that making purchasing decisions can reduce sadness in the short term because it restores a sense of personal control. The key word there is short term. Spending can temporarily distract from discomfort, but it doesn't resolve it. It's like wearing a mask. The appearance changes, but not what's underneath. Now, this doesn't mean everyone who enjoys spending is compensating for something. Sometimes spending is simply aligned with values. If you value experiences, you might happily spend on travel. If you value aesthetics, you might spend on design. If you value status, you might spend on signals of success. Money is a magnifier. It amplifies what you already care about. 4. The optimism bias. Now, for something a little more encouraging. People who love to spend often carry strong optimism about their future income. I'll make more later. I'll figure it out. It'll be fine. And sometimes, they're right. Entrepreneurial personalities, risk-tolerant individuals, and high self-belief types are statistically more comfortable spending because they trust their future earning capacity. They see money as flow, not storage. Savers think, what if I lose this? Spenders think, I'll be able to gain more. Neither is inherently superior. their different relationships with uncertainty. And now the last main reason, the social layer. Let's not pretend to ignore the social layer behind spending, as it plays a huge role, at least in some of our purchases. Let's dial it back a few thousand years or so. Humans evolved in tribes. In tribes, status mattered. Today it's virtually the same, except the whole idea of our tribe has expanded. And so is what shows status. Nowadays, whether we like it or not, physical stuff does show status. Phones, cars, holidays, watches, even minimalism can become a status display. Or even just attitude, or the way you carry yourself. But still, buying stuff can still send a social signal, consciously or not. Because buying isn't just acquiring, it's communicating. I am this kind of person. So, is loving to spend money a flaw? Not necessarily. But there's no hiding that it can be problematic, particularly when the spending is unconscious, compulsive, or disconnected from long-term stability. However, when intentional and within your own means, spending can reflect confidence, optimism, curiosity, and appetite for experience. After all, we are only on this earth once, right? So the key psychological difference here isn't spender versus saver. It's reactive versus intentional. Are you spending to escape a feeling or express a value? Are you spending to feel whole, or do you really just want that Burberry scarf? So next time you find yourself at the checkout page, you might just ask yourself, and we'll see if you still click. After all, dopamine doesn't pay interest, right?